All right. That's what it is today, you guys.
I know. I tried.
It's Conspiracy Wednesday. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time now. You know how we bring it. It's the good news, the bad news, and the other shit. I'm going to switch it up. I know you're tired of talking about the scandal. Well, we got to talk a little bit about the scandal. Pa-ching-ching-ching. Pa-ching-ching-ching.
All that extra stuff doesn't bring women fans to the show.
We're not going to have no women fans.
Yeah, you need...
But you don't listen.
That's...
What you declare, you tell them, see, first of all, you never could imagine how good it is to tell a fine woman, I'm not your man. I'm not your man. You need to save that request for your man.
Oh, that's L.A.
I'm just a guy buying you dinner.
Oh, L.A.
I'm just
L.A. right there.
Oh.
I am not your man.
And I just think that's...
But I'll take you home like you're my girlfriend, though. I'll do that.
I can drop you. It's all cool and good. Because I can just go home and get off of some memories. Because I know I had a few look just like you. I just go back and remember them. And there's some good shit, too.
See, this is terrible. This is terrible. I thought
that's the problem. They say, oh, you one of them old. I said, you know old players like that. She said, damn, you just can't put nothing on them. I said, girl, we already had it. We already been there. I said, you need to learn from us.
But they got, you know what they do? You know what they come back with? They come back with, it says, you really are fighting what you can't fight against because we go up the chain and hit presidents, kings.
That's true, but you got to get younger ones.
You took General down, so you can talk all you want, Mark.
I guess General, because General is running like 6 miles in the morning and shit. Anybody running in the morning, I don't care if it's like from here to the mailbox. I'm going to give you credit just for going outside.
I run in the morning.
I'll give you credit. I saw you up there on Facebook. I just did 4 something. They like to post they shit. I just ran 4 things.
Do, and you don't like
I'm eating
you
a
can
cracker.
Get off my page.
I'm eating a cracker. Look, and here's a picture of my cracker I'm eating.
It's the carrot stick. The carrot stick.
That's cool.
Well, that's the truth. That's the kind of stuff that they're doing today.
And aren't you glad you know women who like to take care of themselves versus the opposite?
I am.
All right.
I am. I'm glad. And
isn't that inspirational?
Because I tell you, it feels so good to tell them. And I'm not your man. I can go home tonight, go to sleep. It's cool. Just drop me on off.
Hey, let me go and pass along because he's going to forget to his duty. Pittsburgh PMC loves your pics on Facebook. So you know he's been there quite often. So he just let you know.
Shower her with love, you guys. Shower her with love today, you guys. Shower her. We're going to feed her after this show, too. We are. We're going to feed her.
Hummus sandwich, that's about it.
We're going to go. We're going to feed her.
Nutella.
Oh, so you guys, now, here's the thing. The news, it's good news, bad news. It's the last broadcast of the month. Next month, we're going to a special schedule change. We'll still be here, but we're going to be doing shorter shows because we're going to be trying to institute in the final phases of planning the manifesto. As Pax Stereo unveils a new for 2013 with all the new apps, the new upgrades. Also, remember, we got to get everything ready for the presence at South by Southwest. Big pre-organization of the minority presence, black geeks and such. So we want to be there interacting with them because really they're underrepresented at South by Southwest. So it's really a wonderful opportunity that Victor and I are going. We made that commitment. So we're getting ready. So everybody understand everything is changing. That's why today is so special. So so it's going to be a different, it's not the traditional good news, bad news, other shit. Okay? Now the first thing, because I'm going to hit you with the bad news, we might as well get that out of the way. Middle East is really blowing up. But it does such and so regularly. The news that we get here is so biased. So biased. Which doesn't help. See, those are the things that don't help. But the American public is getting more savvy. But still, the whole point is that's not what we want because this is an issue of governments. And I remind people, whenever you get caught up in these kind of political discussions, remember the fact that you're dealing with governments. Mm-hmm. And that'll help you control your racism and your tendencies toward prejudice. Because what you don't get to see is the tremendous political movements in Israel itself by people who are anti-war protesters. You don't get to see that. Just like the people who hate the U.S., I go, well, you don't get to see enough of me. I have different political views that you may find, in a different way. So I tell people that because this is an ongoing issue. And the whole question is, how do we get peace? Because history has shown that after everybody dies, one day they just finally decide to stop fighting. Mm-hmm. It never makes up for all the people. When you've been killing this long, every side has horror stories.
Yeah.
Every side. Every side has horror stories. But there are protesters against the war on both sides. And imagine how dangerous that is for them. Imagine how dangerous it is to be a young Israeli who's against this, or even a young Gaza resident. They also had a video of a man being dragged behind a motorcycle who was a suspected collaborator.
Yeah, they were talking about kids too yesterday, how they're suffering traumatic. So it's like how we have like the earthquake, the kids practice the earthquake safety. Kids have like bomb safety. Anytime something flies over, they have these spots that they go to, but they're reverting back to like being toddlers, like they're peeing their bed, like older kids, because it's so traumatic, and it's happening so often that and now there's not enough people to treat these kids because it's not
the trickle down,
right. So now you're going to see the kids who actually survive all this. Mm-hmm. What happens to them?
Tainted,
right?
They get tainted. They end up being I hate to say this, the
collateral
parents that
damage.
they see that goes out and spew hate. If they're fortunate enough to live a young adult life, because I can imagine the lifespan, and then they see that you then take that, it matures in you. It's so different when you think about the things you were scared of before. Then you grow into it and you learn it and you go, okay, where did I get this sense of hatred from? So if you're fortunate enough, you're right, Mario. It's no good on either side. Remember, this is 40 years and then some. What makes this any different? And I can't see either side validating the argument of collateral damage all day long.
Well, let's take a look at this piece in RT, and then we'll come back because an announcement is just coming. It appears that there may be a ceasefire. First, let's watch this piece, and we'll be right back. Everybody.
Let's get some more perspective now on the crisis from the Israeli side. I'm joined on the line by Josh Hantman, a spokesman for the Israeli Ministry of Defense, the IDF. Sir, thanks for being with us. 126 Palestinians have died since the violence began. Almost half of them, as we've been reporting, civilians. Israel also lost a soldier today, killed by a Gaza rocket. Surely you can understand why critics accuse Israel of disproportionate aggression when you compare these figures, no?
So first of all, I'd like to comment on your disproportionate reporting, because you seem to have preempted my whole interview by saying that everything I say will be part of our PR machine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a deal with you. Everything I say will be based on Hamas's actions and Hamas's words. So therefore you can't blame any Israeli PR machine. It will be based purely on the facts and the words of Hamas themselves.
Okay, will you go ahead and do it then?
Let's go, sir. So first and foremost, let's see Hamas's response to civilian deaths on both sides. The Israeli Defense Ministry, who I represent, and indeed the Israeli public, are mourning civilian deaths on both sides.
Model.
I've seen it. I've been running around the south from bomb shelter to bomb shelter, dodging rockets, hearing the cries of Israeli civilians and the cries and the wails of the air raid sirens, and at the same time Hamas have been shooting barrages of rockets, of mortars.
Yeah, but it must be said, no civilians dead on the Israeli side.
Did you say no civilians dead on the Israeli side? So I will have you know that there have been 4 Israelis killed on the Israeli side. And let's also note that in the interview I did with you the other day, you showed masses of pictures of Palestinian victims and not one picture of an Israeli victim, not one picture of an Israeli destroyed house, not one picture. So this is the interview I did with you.
Are we talking civilians or soldiers? I'd like you to clarify. Civilians or soldiers?
I'm talking civilians, sir. I'm talking civilians, sir. I was in Kiryat Malachi, where a rocket came through a window and killed 3 civilians. I'm talking about the civilian that was killed again today, sir, as well as the soldier that was killed today. I'm talking about the millions of civilians who are under direct rocket fire on a daily basis, sir. And the fact that you don't know this, it's reflective of the reporting of this channel.
We simply have different information from the information you were telling us. We'll leave it there. Okay, now the UN Relief and Works Agency has accused the IDF of lying when it claimed the UN...
Well, so anyway, the point being, there's stuff going on both sides. You could go on and on with this. But it turns out, you guys, that I'm just getting word, and I'm trying to confirm it too on Al Jazeera. And it looks like, yeah, Egypt has announced a Hamas-Israel ceasefire. Let's see, it's coming through here. Thank you once again to RT.com for bringing us this and working again with us indies. That's why we're able to bring you breaking news, because of the people who will work with us. And notice they're foreign.
Foreign people.
Because all the U.S. people sue us for showing a little clip of the news. But that's okay. Remember, we're your backup in case of a national disaster. We got the generator, Pack Stereo TV. We're your community service backup. Take a look.
Israel and the Palestinian group Hamas have agreed to a ceasefire in Gaza after
Breaking
marathon
news.
peace talks in Egypt's capital, Cairo. Israel's been pounding the Palestinian territory with missiles from both the air and sea for more than a week now in response to Hamas's cross-border rocket fire. Let's go live to RT's Middle East correspondent, Paula Sleer. Paula, this is only just...
What's with our urban buffer?
It happens sometimes. You say you thank them, but they say you have a
in the
limit.
last hour or so, there have been various rumours coming through from various news agencies. What more do we know at the moment? What are the details of this truce as you know it?
Well, we're hearing from Egyptian and Palestinian sources that a ceasefire agreement has been reached between Israel and Hamas. Within the last half hour or so, there was a press conference between the US Secretary of State Hillary Clinton and the Egyptian Foreign Minister. They made the announcement there that within the next hour, that ceasefire would go into effect. Now, Clinton said that the US was committed to ensuring the safety of the Israeli public, while at the same time making sure that the conditions of the lives of people in Gaza were improved. Egypt, for its side, has said that it has a historical duty to represent and look after the interests of the Palestinian people. We haven't yet had any confirmation from the Israeli side. In fact, I've just gotten off the phone with the spokesperson of the Israeli Foreign Ministry, who is not confirming the ceasefire, but he has told us that within half an hour, the Israeli Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, will be holding a press conference. So we are expecting to hear during that press conference an Israeli confirmation for the ceasefire. Again, a reminder, it is expected to go into effect 1 hour from now. However, we are also understanding that the Israeli approval comes without any kind of conditions that Hamas were pushing for, namely that Israel would lift its blockade. We have no details at this stage in terms of what was agreed to and what wasn't agreed to, but certainly it has taken everybody by surprise.
They can't maintain
today after
Gaza
such a bloody
indefinitely
day on
the way
both the Israeli and the Palestinian
it
side.
is.
There was a bus bombing around midday today here in Tel Aviv. 28 people were injured, and at that time it was widely expected that the Israeli government would go ahead with its much threatened ground offensive. So certainly people here are quite shocked that the Israeli response has actually been to sign now a ceasefire rather than reacting in the way Israel traditionally has in the past.
All right, so at least we have that, you guys.
Reaction. At the same time, there were roughly around 85 rockets that rained down into southern Israel today. A third of them were intercepted. There were also 4 Israeli soldiers who were injured. We have no further information as to the conditions of those soldiers being injured at this point. On the Gaza side, there were 121 Israeli airstrikes. They targeted rocket launchers, they targeted smuggling tunnels, and also Hamas command centers. So that's where we stand at the moment. We're waiting another half hour for the Israeli Prime Minister to confirm this ceasefire, but certainly at the moment this is breaking news.
Yeah, Paul, as you've been speaking there as well, I've got some more comments. I'm just looking at the Reuters news agency. They're now saying that PM Netanyahu's told President Obama that he's, quote, ready to give the ceasefire a chance. That came from the Israeli Prime Minister's office. Also the White House saying President Obama told Netanyahu that the US would use the ceasefire to help Israel address its security needs, especially smuggling of weapons. So a lot to be talked about, and as you say, more details to be coming out in the next half hour or so. And that ceasefire is supposed to take place in about 55 minutes from now. Paul, we'll be back to you for sure just a bit later.
Wow, thank you. Breaking news, you guys, RT.com. Look how we can get it. We're able to get it as fast as it hits. And wow, just breaking news. You heard it here at Pack Stereo TV as we get it. So,
Here first.
wow. Wow.
So here's the thing. So all those people died for no reason. They could have had this come to this point without shedding blood, right? But that's not the nature of war. You do the casualties and collateral, then you come to the table and say, let's just stop for a little while.
Well,
Yeah. Try. Yeah. See, I sit there and go, so that's the best way to talk. Let's kill some on both sides, and then we'll come and talk.
well, that's, and remember, this goes back and forth and back and forth. The historical perspectives, you actually can get lost
I know.
in dealing with this.
Yeah. It's deep because even if you go backwards and then try to find what they call the validating starting point, it says so.
No.
Now you get the point.
And-
you go, what's the use?
And here's the other thing, when you get to really know people, as I do, on both sides of these things, when you know people who are on the opposite religions, and you have friends on both sides, it makes it very difficult.
Yeah.
This is like I remind people, this is why that's why I softened my posture on a lot of the politics when I start to remind people. We usually have at the kitchen table people who have the exact opposite political views of us. Somewhere at the kitchen table is someone whose political views are absolutely opposite of yours,
right.
And you don't want to kill them, right? Most of us love someone or love many people with whom we disagree politically.
Yep.
Love them with a passion and would protect them, yet disagree with them politically. And that's the part to keep in mind as we attempt to deal with these kinds of issues. Okay, now the other big one, you guys, for Conspiracy Wednesday, we got to acknowledge is the ongoing issue of the CIA. David Petraeus. Man, we told you, as crazy as it seems, remember, no matter, and here's the part you got to remember, with these kind of stories, no matter what you put together, always remember it's based on materials they wanted you to have.
Of course.
So you got to keep that in mind. Like, give Kwasi's mic back up. I'm sorry. Yeah, because and so, but it is hot. So at its very basic, whether or not they were looking to use, because there's a whole bunch of people who say David Petraeus being an outsider, that they were looking to get rid of him, and all of this makes him look incompetent. Because what a lot of younger folks don't understand is with a lot of the older folks, especially in these kinds of cultures, there's this whole issue of take care and handle your shit. Power broker men, it's always been implied that you could have women, right? But you were supposed to handle your shit.
Right.
So when you couldn't handle your shit, that would reflect on you as a man. See, and that's why there was so arrogant. There's so much chauvinism. Because this was part of the subculture. Whether you like it, it's the truth. That's why the Good Old Boy Network was there. Because they wanted you to handle your woman.
True.
Make her do. If you ever want to see it in action, watch Mad Men.
Well, it's about it's yes and no. It's almost if you bring it to today's era, it's like knowing your place. So you know what I'm saying? It's just
and you guys
like,
don't do that today.
It depends.
Oh, I forgot you West Indian culture.
Oh, good Lord.
See, what makes a difference? They're more conservative.
No, that's not true.
They are more conservative.
At the end of the day, it depends. I think people, from my experience, people get in trouble when they're not honest. I know
Right.
a lot of dudes who are honest, and they say, hey, this is the situation. This is your position. You either can stay or you can go. These are, of course, dudes who look really good. you can't be just anybody or you have some type of swag. But if you know as a female or male, you know where you are, where you stand. You can't hate on the person if they already told you from the get-go of this is what you're going to be and this is who you are.
Well, that's true, but let me give you the other side of that, because since we're on this as a relationship, I got to write this down. Having played this, no, because Vic and I, let me give you the personal side of this. What's interesting is that I, as a regular rule, and many of my men of those days, we would declare in an open, honest way of where we were coming from. Listen, I'm just dating, I'm not settling down, blah, 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 blah. That's what people did. Let me just tell you, looking back, all that stuff really makes no difference. It's actually, here's the value. You get to use it in the arguments you have when you're breaking up.
Right.
That's the only value it has, because I can just tell you, whatever agreement you have, the minute the penis enters, the deal has changed. The deal has changed. And no matter...
You can't claim ignorance, though.
No, but what happens is people fall in love.
Oh, I totally agree, but you can't claim ignorance.
You can't claim ignorance, but like I told you, remember I told you, the only value it ever was for me is I got to use that in the argument as I was leaving.
Oh, we're just dating?
Yeah. You still end up hurting their feelings. Everything is still the same. It just becomes what you can say. I told you, even though things change because people's feelings change, and the point to just know on the bottom line is no matter what you say, no matter what you agreed to at the beginning of a relationship, I don't care what it is. It will change.
But why even say we're just dating? Why can't you just
say
this
can
is
say
just
whatever
a booty
you
call?
want. The minute you hit that orgasm, the rules are changing.
No, because if you
on
say
the third orgasm, change.
Because if you're saying you're just dating, or you're just saying this is just a booty call, then you treat her as such. But if you're saying we're just dating and you treat her as a girlfriend, then
what happens
you're going to get the emotions of a girlfriend.
But things change, though. How you know you're going to like? Because here's what happens. People assume at the beginning of the whole thing that you're in control. But you're not.
Well, you should learn that lesson like 20 years ago.
So you don't know what you're going to like. It's like you discover what you like. In other words, one day somebody touches you a very different way in a different place. You go, whoo. I've done shit, but
and
that was different.
And then you can't get upset at the woman for acting accordingly when you're treating her differently than a booty call.
You treat them like you treat everybody. You tell them, I'm nice to everybody.
No.
I'm going to buy you dinner. I'm going to take you on a trip.
No.
But I'll give you a lot of the golden eggs, but the goose is mine, motherfucker.
No.
The goose, my goddamn goose.
Now, see, wait a minute.
Goose.
What I just heard, that to me, the value of your character really is not important anymore. Because the conditions is to protect how you determine what is and what is not, to have the option to come back around and disclaim. If you approach relationships to look forward to disclaiming, like people, you ask a question about what's positive about you going into relationships and you answer, I don't want, then you're approaching that whole position of, well, I'm working against this first before I work for me first. And I find that to be endemic across the board. That most people are working to protect and
that's fear.
Themselves. That's a totally different thing.
Totally. So,
well, it's fear, and it's also the fact that people are no longer like the age of people getting married or starting quote unquote long-term relationships. They're a lot older. People. I mean, you have this. You have some people who get married and they're right out of high school or beginning of college, but then you have people who wait 10 years after they finish college to say, okay, well, I'm ready to settle down now. So there's this big 10, 15-year gap where you're having fun, but, it just doesn't, I don't know.
But it also stems from the illusion, and old folks tell me if I'm not right, that you think you can control when you fall in love.
But like you can't.
People do. They go like this, I'm not ready. You can go to the 7-11 in 10 minutes and just bump into somebody and your whole life will have changed. Your whole life can change in a weekend.
Yeah.
On Monday, your whole priorities have shifted and work don't even look the same. Everything that changed.
Haven't you learned that lesson already? Like, that's such a basic lesson that you can't control stuff.
You know what happens, Turquasi, is that I
think you can control even control you getting up.
Right.
You don't even know if you're going to get up the next day.
Well, see, all of us have to go through certain things, and I think we tend to try to predict how we would handle it, but we don't know. All of us have to have a loved one, someone we care about, betray us. All of us have to have like defeats, public embarrassments of different degrees.
Public embarrassment.
I'm just saying stuff happens to you.
I hope not. I don't want that stuff.
Yeah, right. But you know what I'm saying? We all go through these things in our life that at the time seem so huge, and then later on in life don't seem quite so huge. But
it's a lesson learned.
Yeah, it's a lesson learned. So one of the things that no one knows to me, no one knows their needs from their wants. My dad used to take me out and talk about this. You got to know your needs. And so I was trying to know my needs from my wants because my daddy used to have this talk with me all the time. But he was right. He said, son, it's really impossible, but I want you to struggle with this, because what you will learn as you get older is that you're going to find out that a lot of things you thought were needs were merely wants. And some of the things you thought were wants, you actually need them.
Yeah, but isn't it the basic need to be loved, and then food and water?
Well, you don't know. Well, it seems like that, but people...
You can live in a box. I mean, I'm not saying I want to live in a box, but you can live in a box. Like, I remember when I traveled to Kenya, and like the living situation was totally different. And I remember at that time, I wanted to get a Mustang. Mustang was like my thing. That's my car. That's what I wanted. And then when I went to Kenya, it wasn't a big deal. I just wanted a car.
Right.
You know, when I came back, I was like, I'll just be grateful that I have a car.
Right.
So, you know, you can live in a box, but if you have somebody that's like your road dog or somebody that you can depend on, and you have great conversation with, is it actually necessary to have?
No, but you don't get that
side stuff.
No, but here's the thing. As the guy who bears witness, I had a whole bunch of love buddies. Like I say, they still my friends.
Love buddies.
They still my friends. They still my friends.
Love buddies. That's
still my buddies.
Okay.
That's right. I know what you call them. They still my friends.
Love buddies.
I like new terminology.
I'm just saying.
Love buddies.
So, but and you learn as you go through life that these relationships, some of those relationships as you get older, end up being the longest standing relationship. Like I said, the person that I go out occasionally with now, who was the one that was my girlfriend, how long she last? She always lasts like 3 to 9 months.
We have a thing called men have this thing called
we're bud friends.
90 days.
Yeah,
we call it 90 days.
90-day lease.
Yeah, no,
I've dated her like 15 times.
And it's not a 90-day lease the way you think. It's
we're
the
good
idea
friends.
that either party not being on the same page.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what the reason is. Give it 90 days. It really gets to a point
That's
where
what I tell her.
I'm over here, and it has nothing to do with right or wrong. It's the idea that you're not connecting. I said,
Is that the same thing with almost like the Steve Harvey thing where you give it 90 days before you sleep with the man?
Yeah, because let me tell you, I did experiment. I did that as an experiment.
You withheld for 90 days before you slept with her?
Yeah, pretty much. Let me tell you what's a trip. I did that way before Steve Harvey, just for my own experiment. And here's the trip. What happens is you learn a lot of stuff about yourself. On the first date, you really want to get them. You want to, Second date, you want to get them, but they talking.
See,
On the third date, you're not sure you really want to get them because they've been talking a lot, and the more she talks, the more you know she's not going to be around. You know, at best, this is a short term.
So now, when you determine that, I think as you get older, you determine that quicker. But some people
then you don't
keep
sleep
that person
with them.
Around.
Well, see, depends what you're looking for. I can tell you this: what I learned from it. This is what I'm observing. What I learned about myself is that if I have a natural progression that went from wanting to have sex with you to really not, unless there was other things. Mm-hmm. So if there was only sex, I was going to get bored. So when you held out and didn't have the sex, you got bored anyway. So by the time it would hit down the line, you didn't want it no more. Because by now you knew him, and you're going, you are one beautiful, dumb bitch, okay? And I want to just be your friend. I'll be your friend, your buddy, but I don't want to be your man.
Do you need to have sex with them to determine that that's not for you?
No, but here's the thing. In other instances, because you would have sex, see, the typical Mario would have boned them on GP. Now, they're around just because they were cute in there. Now they would have been around for 2 years. See, they would have been around 2 years going out every now and then, whereas you didn't really want to be with them. Why did you start this up? Because you ended up that's why you end up looking up one day and you sleeping with 3 people. Like people act like they don't do that. Do you know what the average sexually active? It's like 30 to 40% of the sexually active 15-year-olds are sleeping with 3 or more people.
Oh, good Lord.
You know, y'all are like bunnies out there. Because some of y'all don't like to count them. You know, y'all don't like to count them. But you know y'all be having some overlap. There'll be a little overlap. You know, you be saying, hey, well, it wasn't that long. Well, you know, you be having that little overlap.
I know. The thing is, I've seen it because I've been doing a couple events and with younger people and stuff like that, and I'm seeing that I'm not necessarily saying that it's like they're growing up too fast, and then it's like they're not maturing. It's like, okay, it's one thing like back in the day, you know, you're 14, people got married at 18. It's not like that. It's like they're starting early, and then it's like a whole 20, 30 year of experimenting, and I'm just like,
yeah, pretty much.
This is just like, there's
And
something.
you add 5 lovers a year for 15 years.
Yeah,
how many is that?
That's just, I mean, I don't
How many
know.
is that?
Too
See,
many.
if you add 3 to 5 lovers a year for 10 to 15 years,
Right.
you done put some mileage on your stuff.
So let me ask you something. Let me just say this, because you know
Mileage.
your opinions and observations are always correlating with your age, maturity, experience, all those combined.
Well, and your brought-up-see. That's
Right.
a West Indian term.
Yeah. And now you brought up. Now,
I didn't start dating until I left the country. Essentially, I wasn't allowed to date, and while I was in high school, it was like I hated it,
Right.
but now I appreciate it because I wasn't. I could already see if that were to happen, where I would have ended up.
Also, you
versus
trying
where-
to say if you had been allowed to date, that
I
old
would've got a
dirty
whole-
freak side would
I
have
would-
came out.
I would've
That
got a
old
whole lot of trouble.
That young TK.
Yeah, I would have got a whole
Ooh.
lot of trouble, and I'm so thankful that.
Let's see the pictures. This is what would have been free. Now it stayed locked up.
Locked up, lock and key.
So let me ask you this, because I guess this is something that goes way back, and of course it's probably young minds, because there was that time where, and I don't know if anybody's had that experience, and look, I'm not trying to say you have to have it now. That time where you actually said, here's somebody that they affect me even beyond the sexuality. That they just have this energy or synergy, whatever word you want to call it, and you want to be around them so bad. You're really not. Some people are motivated. I've gone through this only once or twice in my life, and I said this experience is rare. Grab it while you have it. Where most of us, men are built a certain way. They're going to be going to attack mode. But that mode where you sit there and go, wow, everything else about them is so illuminating. That's that I'm
love.
building on first, and it's not required to temper it with when am I going to hit that. To have that experience and know that, whoa, so I am not.
And it doesn't
clocked in
happen
the same
a
way.
bunch of times in a lifetime. You better treasure it. You
Yeah.
think I am blessed enough to have had some very wonderful relationships. But even with all of that in mind, how often does that kind of a thrill, even the old fake ass infatuation thrill,
Right.
that lasts? I mean, when I say a real good infatuation, not one of those 1 week, I'm talking about like 1 year,
Right.
before
Right.
you come to. Even those are rare.
Right. And you have
Even
to,
those are rare enough. So the times you recognize you get older, less and less do you get to feel the rapture.
right, and it's a difference.
rapture.
The rapture.
The difference is too. It's interesting because I always like asking questions because I believe you never stop learning and things change. So whatever you learned 20 years ago, yesterday, it could always evolve and change. And I was asking just some good female friends of mine and said, now you're in that day and age that say if the guy says, I want to make sure you know that I'm not about just the sex. I really want to build on something. Do you know when I ask about...
I tell that with sex.
Wait a minute. No, hold on. No.
Sex is what convinced me about your willingness to build.
No, Mario, this is not it. This is not this time. I actually asked them this, and this was true. This is the part where I said this double standard may apply. I said, if the man is what you think he is, and he impacts you, and he does his role, and he comes at you, because number one is a woman prefers to be pursued. There are some who say, I like to pursue. But he doesn't come at you intimately at all. It's 2 weeks, 30 days, 60 days. Do you go, is that better or worse? Do you know hands down they said not good?
Well, it depends.
Right.
It depends
It's
on
not
if
good.
he explains himself too.
No.
Well, he is. He's saying
It's
this.
not good.
He said, I'm saying this. It's the whole part of you saying, I'm not here.
No, it's not
to
good.
push that because I'm supposed to be acting
You don't
that
have
way.
to push that, but you could be intimate without being intimate.
Yeah,
Well, see, that's what I'm saying.
That's right. There's other kind of
Right.
intimacy, but
That-
you should have known by 2 months. You should have, even if you haven't had
Well,
sex.
no.
You should have had intimacy.
Ask Turquoise. At some point, if the man is going like this, he says, you're the gift, the princess, the queen. And he says, the best I'm doing is holding hands and giving you a little lip lock now. That's about it. And it's about 45 days in.
You should give
Are
him a
you wondering-
blowjob.
Don't listen to him. Don't listen to him. He's been
That's
hurt.
how I get his
He's
attention.
been hurt. He's been hurt.
At all. Hey, ladies, I bet that'll work. I bet that'll get his attention.
You notice?
I bet that'll get his attention.
I wanted to have one segment.
I bet the dates pick
where
up.
he would not chime in and kill your quality moment. I tried. He's a disruptor. I want you to know. You guys think I'm a cliff pusher. He's a disruptor. He disrupted the quality of the question for Turquoise. Now she has
I'm
to close her
sorry.
eyes.
The chat room was full of
I
nasties,
know.
too.
So at 45 days, DK, you
Yes.
go like. I mean, he tried to kiss.
It depends, though. I mean,
90 days.
I was telling somebody about this the other day, how when you watch like romantic comedies and you read all these books and stuff like that, it almost puts women in this position that now they expect all this stuff from the men, like the 50 Shades of Grey. Now they expect the man to buy you an Audi and all this other stuff, and that's not necessarily the case. So you take it on a case-by-case basis. If he's very, straight with me and says, this is a situation, this is how I want to treat you,
Right.
and everything
Slave.
everything else is into play,
slave.
Right.
then 90 days is not an issue if he's picking me up, he's buying me flowers, we're going out, we're
That's
hanging out,
intimacy.
we're doing, we're
That's
doing
what I'm
things
saying.
that don't
Yeah.
necessarily
Friendship.
have to be in.
That I know. See, I was getting to the point where when you don't know and the perfect storm is aligned because it's about trust.
Well,
and
that's
faith.
what I'm saying. You know the people that you're dating that you're having a friendship that you're building on, right?
Yes.
Because that's a chemistry issue.
Yes.
Now, some of us are smart enough to know to build on that.
Right.
Because that's what you build on. You have an inherent chemistry where you care about each other. And you have a physical attraction too, but what makes it different is that inherent chemistry. So theoretically, every time you're together, there are things that communicate, I value you.
That's right.
You're important.
So,
and when they don't make you feel
Right.
important, you need to be thinking about moving on, right? Anybody
Right.
makes you feel like you're not important, you don't fit in. When you feel that, that's usually because they're treating you that way.
Wait a minute. See, Mac got the same thing I got. He said, yeah, you did a great thing and illuminating your answer in the same way. But see, the part that everybody's talking about to me is, well, when everything is going all right and you're clicking. I said, but watch this. We know at the very beginning, that they say in the first week, you have something what they call an energy about what you believe. There's believability and faith and all those other things that come into play. I said, if you're not sure you believe this person and they're waiting, isn't it true, Mar? You would think that. Well, if you're not really coming at me, that means you got somebody else because you're not bringing
Right.
rap.
Of course.
I've had that happen when
Totally.
somebody says, I said, no,
That
I
is
am
what it
dedicated
means.
to you. They're going,
Well, that's what they're saying.
Well,
Right,
I mean,
right.
actions speak a lot.
Totally.
It's just like the dude who says he's all into you, and then you call him at like 10 o'clock, and there's no answer.
Right.
And then he doesn't call you until the next morning on his way to work.
Are you spending the night and there's a
Come on
bunch
now.
of phone calls
Yeah.
at 2 and 3
Yeah.
in the morning and shit?
Or you're constantly like texting, and the person sitting beside you is like, okay,
Right. Or
You
they
know,
only get,
how can you not? And then that person would say, well, there's nobody else but you. And like, come
right.
on now.
They're busy every Friday, Saturday. And you know what women
they
used to
can't-
say?
you can't find them on the
Right.
weekend.
Who is he with on New Year's, Valentine's, and his birthday?
Yeah,
Right.
Not
That
your
speaks a lot.
birthday. Who is he with on his birthday?
Yeah, if
that
it's not
tells
you, then
Then you ain't the one.
then you ain't the one.
Yeah, know
has
your place.
They ain't
has
the one.
Mario said,
All
has
right.
anybody assigned you and said, I'm assigned, you are my project. I'm
Yeah,
assigned
they
you.
tried. That's
Right.
what Speed Girl tried to do. I said, you don't get to self-appoint yourself as my girlfriend. It's not like a position you get to come in. Okay, I'm here. I'm girlfriend. It don't work like that. You got to like earn some titles and shit up in here. We got to old.
So that's why I asked. 'cause
You
he
know,
went
like,
through
you know,
it.
we very comfortable with the cat and saving some money. And you guys, the whole thing of this was to discuss relationships and sex and the ways that it affects and controls us. The reason why we got so caught up is really, to me, indicative of the ways that the general gets caught up. No different than what we said. You can talk about it to yourself, keep it to yourself, try to share it with just a close friend. But the generals go through the same stuff that we go through. The whole issues of
Everybody
sex
does.
and closeness. And that's why you have these issues revealed. Everybody, so again, that's been, now, we're about to get out of this good news, bad news. I'm going to shorten it up. I wanted to tell you a couple of quick things that I thought were most interesting. For one, take a look at this story briefly. Students in India can now buy a fully functional 7-inch tablet called the Akash 2 for $20 or about $45 retail. Go take a look yourself at the website for the Akash 2. And believe me, they also have one in China that's coming out that costs the equivalent of $40. I wanted you guys to be aware of this stuff because it's out there. And you say, well, how do they have that? How do they have that? I said, well, it's because somebody built it and they have to get it out there.
Equivalent to, I guess, the average income. So I guess that's relative in a different way. I mean, the $20,
it is relative in a different way, but even though that's why you had to get it down so cheap, right?
Right.
In order to make a laptop that we can spread throughout the third world, we need to make them cheap enough.
Right.
And so this really is talking about making it cheap enough to get them all through Africa.
Right.
So I wanted you all to take a look at that story, to be inspired, and know that we have that coming. Well, it's actually here and in India, okay, that you can get the $20 laptops. That's why I want you to see. You can go I was trying to go to the website.
Yeah, PMC said after dropping that 500 on his iPad, all he had is a 4-letter response. I won't even tell you what he said. Yeah, just PMC, that's all right. But remember, half of that
That's
you
a
get to share
different-
with your wife. So it's really $250.
Right. Now, I want you to know about that. That's these other good news. Now, here's the other good news for everybody out there in the tech world. Quick tech item. Of all the recent reviews of all the little camcorders that are going around, I want you to know that the Panasonic HC V500M is the 2012 camcorder value of the year. This is a high-def camera, comes with 16 gigabytes of internal memory, right? Suggested retail is $499, but it's available right now on Amazon for $290. We tell you this because we've told you all along how we use a number of under $200 cameras here in the studio, along with our $2,400 cameras. I want you to be aware that this is an example of a camera right now that's under $300, $280 right now, that people are saying is the camcorder value of the year. Okay? All right.
Pretty good.
All right.
Is that good news, man?
That was the good news.
I wonder if you only have $100.
And you shouldn't be watching this show. You should be out working, trying to get a job, prostituting or something.
Oh, goodness.
Oh, no.
I know it's hard. I tried to sell it. Didn't get no buyers. Say, damn. What if you made a sex tape and no one wanted to watch? I tried to give the sex tape. They say, would you like to have my sex tape? You're like, no.